विजयते रामं रमेशं भजे रामेणाभिहता निशाचरचमु रामाय तस्मै नमः रामान्नास्ति परायणं परतरं रामस्य दासोऽस्म्यहम् रामे चित्तलया सदा भवतु मे भो राम मामुद्धर राम रामेति रामेति रमे रामे सहस्रनामतुल्यं राम नाम वरानने गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वर गुरुर्साक्षात् ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः. For the benefit of those who are joining for the first time, we are going to start today discussing chapter 6. But before we start discussing chapter 6, for those who are joining for the first time, let us just recap the first 5 chapters. First of all, the book talks about how to read and enjoy Sai Charitra. Or even before that, let me first of all be grateful and be thankful to my colleagues, Shirish and Prachi Puranik, who actually inspired us to start these discussions in Muscat. And of course, today, Vaibhav Rani and Mrinal Das Gupta, thanks to whom, all this is happening. Okay, so Sai Charitra is called a Paurusheya Grantha. A Paurusheya means, a Paurusheya is something that is superhuman. It is not written, though it is written by a human being, it is obviously not the effort of one human being. It is the effort of somebody who actually managed to write it with some divine help. Now, how do we enjoy Sai Charitra? It has been defined here that by trying to be like the legendary Chatak bird who drinks nothing but the moonlight, by bringing such sensitivity to the mind, one can enjoy this and experience this book. The important word is experiencing this book. Anubhavavi he katha. Okay. So this is the fundamental thing to be remembered at all times, that to understand Sai Charitra, we have to really sit down and go through the experiences and imagine, think that we are actually in Shirdi. Okay. Now, because it is a Paurusheya Grantha, there is no finality. Everybody can have his own interpretation, everybody can come to his own conclusions, and the more people discuss Sai Charitra, we find that it is like a kaleidoscope. Kaleidoscope is something that all of us played during our childhood, when we kept on rotating something in which pieces of bangles were kept, new and different images started forming. Same way, the same experience. But you read it at different times, will give you different interpretations. Now the book starts with using a flashback technique. The first chapter is about an episode in Baba's life which Hemad Pant is witnessing, and Hemad Pant describes this as the scene of grinding wheat. When Baba has set about grinding wheat in Shirdi, we find that 4 women out of the entire population of Shirdi who are watching Baba, only 4 women come forward. They grab the handle of the grinding mill from Baba and then they start grinding. How they start grinding? They start grinding in a very cheerful mood. They are singing. And in that mood, they actually complete the task. So far, so good. First question, why only 4? Why didn't the entire population join in? This is unfortunately the tragedy of life. That even though we know that something good is happening, to participate in something good, very few handful of people actually feel inclined to. Most of us don't. That's the tragedy. Anyway, so be it. But even these four ladies, who are obviously much better than the rest of the people, they start thinking that having put in so much effort, they must get some benefit. And at which point, Baba gets angry with them, and Baba tells them, go and distribute the floor, throw it on the outskirts of the village, on the boundary of the village. Okay? And here, Hemad Pant, who is watching this episode, is confused. Why did Baba start grinding wheat? Why did he ask them to throw it away? Why did he get angry? Why did he abuse them? However, the great person that he is feeling inspired. He is inspired to write more stories, and he says, I'm sorry, but I could not relate the cause and effect of the story. So if some of us cannot understand the meaning of a story, some of us get confused, some of us think what is the message, don't worry. This is very, very natural. If Hemad Pant also could not reach a conclusion, we are ordinary human beings, we will also be confused. Okay, so nothing to worry. Now, if you go from this story to Gita, Bhagavad Gita, we immediately the shlok that comes to mind is Karmanyevadhikara se ma phaleshu kadachana. Okay. Now, what is it that we must understand from this? That while we think that seva is good, of course seva is good, but seva alone is not good enough. Seva has to be accompanied by bhakti. And what type of bhakti? Nishkam bhakti. Bhakti without any sense of expectation. Okay. Now what happens? What is Baba trying to do here? What happens when wheat is ground? Supposing wheat was to be thrown itself. Wheat was thrown, what would have happened? A wheat plant would have come up. It would have again produced more wheat. Right? So similarly, the karmas that we do, whatever karma we do, every karma results in some action. Every karma results in some action or the other. There is nothing called a karma without action. We have to ensure that the action that results, the result that happens, is something that does not come and haunt us. Okay? It does not create another karma, it does not give birth to another karma, and therefore it does not result in a second birth. Birth after death, after birth, after death. We are trying to break that cycle. Why? Because those four ladies, what are the other four characteristics? We have heard about dharma, artha, kama and moksha. Just as there are four ladies, there are dharma, artha, kama and moksha. But moksha cannot be achieved if you die with desires which are unfulfilled. Therefore, we must learn to put an end to our desires. We should not be expecting something very, very difficult, but that is the teaching of Bhagavad Gita. So that classic stanza, a classic verse from Bhagavad Gita is something that Hemad Pant is starting with in the very first chapter. Of course, he begins by the process of surrendering. He bows to his deities and he makes a statement, Ha Sai is a Gajanana Ganapati. For him now, he has reached a stage that for him there is no other deity. Sai is that deity. Okay, so in his mind there is no confusion. He has come to that conclusion that as far as I am concerned, Sai is good enough for me. Okay, he is willing to bow to him. For him, all the deities are nothing but Sai. Okay, this is the essence of the first chapter. Then we went to the second chapter and we understood what is it that stops us from coming to a Sadguru? What is it that stops us? It is our own mind and the vikalpas in our mind, the doubts in our mind. Okay. So even though people are trying to tell us to do good things, our mind stops us with certain queries. And Hemadpant admits very freely that he too, even though he was under the influence of Nanasaheb Chandorkar and Kakasaheb Dikshit, he also delayed his coming to Shirdi. However, when he decided to come to Shirdi, what happened?
The train.
Even though he sat in the wrong train, he was guided to Shirdi. Right? Now, this is the same thing that we are seeing in the, we are likely to see in the 6th chapter, but we'll come to that gradually. Now, what is Hemadpant's first reaction when he sees Baba? He says, I saw something more. When he says, I saw something more, what did he see? He saw Baba, of course. But the experience that he actually went through, he says, his hair stood up. He felt like crying. Emotionally, he went into a different state of mind. So this is what happens. The ordinary acceptance of an event, the ordinary understanding of an event, which happens through the 5 organs, sense organs, is the limit of human endeavor. But when the Sadguru is there with you, he makes you more sensitive. He makes you more compassionate. He makes you more loving. Okay? So this is what he admits, that this is what happened to me. And then he admits that when he went for the first time to Baba, Baba called him with the name Hemadpant. And when he started going into who was Hemadpant, who was this Hemadpant, he found that Hemadpant is the short form of Hemadri Panta, who was a minister and who had done many good things. For example, creation of, he was the administrator of that kingdom. He wrote, he maintained books, he wrote in that particular script. Okay, he was actually, he wrote books on the temple architecture, all those things. What does the Sadguru do to us? The Sadguru tells us what we are capable of. He automatically raises our capability. He tells us, you are X, but you are capable of X square, X cube, X to the power of 4. So, we realize our unachieved potential only when we come to a Sadguru. This is the second thing. Okay? And what is the classic line there? Vada vadi nahi bari. Noko kunachi barobari. Don't try to compete with anybody. Don't compare yourself with anybody. Okay? Which is nothing but all of us have our own individual line to our Sadguru. Nobody has come before you and therefore is senior to you. Somebody who comes tomorrow may yet become very close to your Sadguru. It is not necessary. It is not age-wise. Yeah? The distance between us and our Sadguru is decided by us. This is basically the second chapter. What is the third chapter? So the second chapter is all about the mind and how to drop the doubts in the mind, how to overcome the vikalpa, and what happens when the vikalpa actually is neutralized. Right? What is the third chapter about? Third chapter is all about how do you achieve contentment, samadhan. Okay, so the line there is Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana results into contentment. Shravana is listening. How listening? How? Listening intently. Listening with concentration. Manana is thinking about it again and again. We have heard the pravachan.
Yes.
It's a 45-minute pravachan. But while coming home, we are thinking about it. What was it that was relevant for me?
Yes.
That is manana. What is nididhyasana? Nididhyasana is In this discussion, in this pravachan, what was it that was relevant for me? I am trying to, in my own mind, go over the pravachan. Then I come to a conclusion. Out of this portion was for me, specifically for me. When you apply that, realize that there was something for me, that results into removal of your doubts and therefore samadhan. Okay, now I am satisfied. My problem has been resolved. My problem has been solved. Okay. Another beautiful line is मी तो केवळ पायांचा दास नका करू मजला उदास जोवरिया देही श्वास निज कार्यास साधून घ्या. Overnight, Hemad Panth has become an instrument of Baba. Hemad Panth has lost his own entity, individuality. He has surrendered. He has become one with Baba. And he says that the essence of my life, the whole objective of my life is to serve you. And don't disappoint me. Get your mission accomplished through me. Okay. Then there is a small incident there that he gets a job and he loses it. And Baba says, Marude meri nokri. Doesn't matter. Let it go. Okay. Karavi maji sakari. Serve me. Okay. There is another beautiful line. Gurutva nave shishyavina. Gurutva nave shishyavina. If there is no disciple, there is no Sadguru. So Sadguru enjoys being a Sadguru through the process of having a ardent disciple. It is like a woman becomes a mother only when she bears a child. Until that time she doesn't become a mother. So to become a mother, you must have a child. Then there is a story of Rohila. And that story is nothing but the importance of Namasmaran, continuous Namasmaran. And then we discuss the story of Bhagavan Buddha, who went with a vessel which had dirt in it, asked the lady to keep on pouring the payasam until the dirt washed away. So same way, when you have doubts in your mind, when you have vikalp in your mind, you have to necessarily drown the vikalp in good thoughts. Namasmaran. Okay. Another beautiful line is Nalage vrata udhyapana, Nalage upavasa Sharira Shoshana, Nalage Tirtha Yatra Paryatana, Charitra Shravana Ekapure. This is a landmark line. In the sense, all of us were told historically that we must go to a holy place, we must walk up to the top of the mountain, we must fast, we must torment our body. That is the only way to achieve God. Okay? If that was the case, all the beggars in front of temple would have become very good devotees. It is not that. It is not going to that place. We are going to see later on the story of Prayag. How Dasganu actually experiences Prayag at the feet of Baba. Okay. Then in the 4th chapter we saw how does the Paramatma come, why does he come, and there we realize that there is a line in Bhagavad Gita, Yada yada hi dharmasya glanirvavati bharata abhyutthanam adharmasya tadatmanam sujamya. Okay. One beautiful line is Janadhana putra dara yachi sukha sarvasvathara manuni vinmukha paramartha vichara tava santa avatara te yeti. Saints take avatar when people start getting obsessed with nothing but money, wealth, children, and think that that is happiness. Okay. Then there is a reference to the word antaryami, tochi sarvansa antaryami, and we discussed the difference between antaryami and antarjnani. A Sadguru is antarjnani as well as antaryami. Why? Because not only does he understand what is going on in our mind, he changes our mind. He changes it in a very positive manner. Okay. Then the classic line is Bhakta Bhavarthi Paije. To achieve God, to achieve nearness to God, what is required?
Bhavis.
Your bhav is very important. You must become sensitive. And that is why who can recognize God or who can recognize Paramatma? Somebody like Gauri Bua. Why? Because he has been going to Pandharpur, Shirdi, wherever. He has been going for so many years. He immediately recognizes Baba. Okay. See, we must remember that doubts are not something that happens to you and me. We have seen Das Ganu also asking a doubt to Baba. Vitthal will come, no? Are you sure Vitthal will come? So such a doubt is there in the minds of Das Ganu also. Okay. Then we see the greatness of other devotees like Akasad Dikshit who says, Khara langde pada to mana. Okay. Now we go to the 5th chapter and we see how in real life somebody actually recognizes Baba. And there is a story of Chand Patil. And here we understand how there are hints in Sai Charitra thrown all over, but only when you start reading Sai Charitra along with other, either the Grantha or whatever has been written by the Sadguru, we understand the finer points. For example, in Matruvatsalya Vindanam, there is a reference to the word Dhup. Upanishad. What is there is a reference to the word Dhup? He says, धूप म्हणजे मानवाची पापमुक्त होण्याची तीव्र इच्छा. And then when we realize that Chand Patil has come from which village? Dhup village. Dhupkhed. Okay. So there are obviously some references which are hidden there. Then we realize the word Chand Patil. Obviously he is a Muslim fellow with his own issues. We must understand that at that time there was between Hindus and Muslims there wasn't really a lot of brotherhood and a lot of goodwill. Anyway, Baba came as a fakir and he brought them together. So we saw that. Then we can understand and we can relate Ghoda, horse, to God's grace. We realize that Baba is seen to be sitting under a mango tree, and a mango tree is nothing but Baba's prasad, fruit. Okay. The line is Ghode sapadle tatkal. Ghode sapadle. Immediately the horse was found. Why? Because God's grace is where? Obviously near God. Paramatma's grace is near Paramatma. So when you go near Paramatma, it is natural that you find your own solutions. Okay. Then there is a reference to the word Anugraha which comes for the first time in Sai Charitra. Chand, this is a Anugraha for Chand Patil. Right? That is, he was blessed through this. Now such accidents happen to us again and again. Again and again. Good things happen to us. We are in the middle of a crisis. Solution comes. Somebody comes and helps us. Right? Somebody helps us to find something. Somebody manages to help us get an increment. Somebody manages to get us a job. We don't see this as God's grace. And this is exactly what happens to Chand Patil. Chand Patil comes into this book only once, disappears. But there are others. Like in the same chapter, there is a story of Anandanath, who says, Hira hai. This is a diamond. Now, why should the character's name be Anandanath, not Mahendranath or not Santoshnath? See, the word Ananda is happiness. Happiness is something that all of us are entitled to. We come in this world to be happy. Somewhere along the line we forget to be happy. Somewhere along the line we start thinking, no. Life is all about miseries, full of miseries. But only when you start really becoming happy, do you really understand that God has given us so many things. We concentrate on the thorns, not on the rose. Right? We keep on complaining to God, you have made thorns, when in fact we should be concentrating on the rose. Okay? Then there is a story about Baba planting a garden and how, in what
Yes.
circumstances, Nija haste ukhari khupastita. He is
Yes.
converting a barren land with his own efforts. For how many period? How much period?
Oh my.
How much period? Pancham, you can have this question. This went on for 3 years. Baba not only bought the seeds, bought the plants, he kept on watering them for 3 years. Okay, and swahaste, with his own hands. Then what was he using? He was using kache ghade, okay, raw vessels.
Yes.
How, what would happen to them the moment they were placed
Yes.
back at the foot of the tree? They would
It again mixed.
dissolve. They would become soil once again. Yeah, which is nothing but human body. Human body goes back, dust becomes dust. Right? Mati sange kumbharala. Right. Then there is a story about a Deepotsav, which is supposed to be one of the miracles. Now we see that that miracle was not a public display. It was just something to teach the grocers, the shopkeepers a lesson. That I don't really need your oil. I'm capable of producing light on my own. However, does Baba do this throughout his life?
No.
Create oil? No, he did not do that. He explained to them that anything and everything I can do on my own. I don't necessarily need. If you don't give me, also the project will get completed. This is what we are going to see in the 6th chapter. The 6th chapter is all about Ram Navami Utsav. Okay. Now we take a short break just in case some of you want to discuss, some of you want to talk, some of you have queries. So I will take a break. I'll stop for about 10 minutes and I'll listen to what you have to say so that, you know, the discussion will become richer. Over to you, Vaibhusya. आपण ऑडिओ बंद करून ऐकायचं का?
ऑडिओ नाही जरूरत आहे. ऑडिओ चालू राहून दे तुमचा पण काही प्रॉब्लेम नाही.
बर. So we will listen to your, if anybody has questions, anybody has comments, we will receive them. And in 2 minutes, if there are no questions, we will start with chapter 6.
नाही आम्ही ऐकतोच आता नोट्स चालू आहेत लिहिणं त्यामुळे कसे अपफ्रंट असे काही सजेशन आणि क्वेश्चन नाहीये. कंटिन्यू करू शकता.
Okay, so we'll start. Now,
नाही झालंय.
okay, let's start. Now, some of the wonderful lines from the 6th chapter are, the very first line, Jethe Sadguru Karnadhara, Techi Taru Paila Paru, Neuni Utaru Lavila. How to execute a project successfully. Any project and every project can be completed satisfactorily, expeditiously, if who is the captain?
Sadguru is.
Sadguru is the captain. Yeah. Now, for making Sadguru the captain, what do we have to be?
100%.
No.
100%.
We have to stop being a captain. We have to accept that he is the captain and we are only the followers. This is the first thing, right? Then comes a very controversial line. भक्ती ही बाबुळवनीची वाट खाचा खळगे अति बिकट एक पावली परी ती नीट हरी निकट नेईकी 16. भक्ती ही बाबुळवनीची वाट. Bhakti is supposed to be a thorny route. खाचा खळगे अति बिकट. It has lot of ditches. The road is not straight, plain. But एक पावली परिती नीट हरि निकट नेकी. Unfortunately or fortunately, that is the only route which takes us to the Lord. Okay? But how? Eka pavali. We have to do it, okay, very carefully by walking on that one small mark of the foot that you see. By stepping exactly on that mark, you have to keep walking. Right? म्हणजे काय? What does that mean? आपला जो सद्गुरूंचा पंथ आहे ना, we have to stick to that route that the Sadguru has prescribed, that the Sadguru has recommended, that the Sadguru is following himself.
Like line of that line.
What is the Sadguru doing? Sadguru is first practicing something, then he is preaching, then he is telling us to follow. So we have to do what he does, right? Exactly the way he does. Don't have to use your head. Why? If you try to use your head, if you try to do it your way, higher chances that you will be affected by the thorns. So if you can avoid the thorns, he has recommended a certain route. Just stick to that route carefully. Okay. Now, here in the 6th chapter, there is a reference to the 5th chapter. मनाचे मळे जे भक्ती शिंपिले वैराग्य फुले ज्ञान फुले कैवल्य फळे चित्सुख उफळे अचूक चुकले जन्म मरण. We looked at the 4 ladies. We said dharma, artha, kama, moksha. What is moksha? Moksha is how to avoid a repeat of birth and death. How to get over the cycle of birth and death. Now, how to do that? Is the solution that is recommended here. Manache male, jai bhakti shimpile. When you water your plant through bhakti, when you water the mind by bringing in bhakti, by showering bhakti, what happens? Vairagya khule. What is vairagya? Non-attachment. Okay. To stop getting attached to things. Jnana phule. What is jnana? The ability to discriminate between good and bad, the ability to discriminate between temporary and permanent. Kaivalya phale, chit sukha ufale. Sukha, we understand, happiness. Chit sukha, happiness to whom? Not to the body. Happiness to the mind. Chitta is that part of the mind which is aligned to God. So, chit sukha ufale, so the inner mind, the innermost portion of the mind really becomes happy. And when the innermost mind becomes happy and we are in a state of bliss, obviously there are no desires left, and therefore achuka chukale janma marana. That is the only way to get out of the cycle of birth and death. Okay. Again, there is a reference to the 5th chapter, chapter 20, line 21. Ghata futata nama rupa vikara niguni para jatat. We saw that those vessels, because they were made of only, they were raw, not baked, Obviously, Sadhguru doesn't want us to come with a premeditated notion. He wants a fresh mind to work on. What happens? Ghata Futata, when we reach death, we reach death. That what kind of death? Not just the death of the body. Nama, Rupa, Vikara. Vikara we can understand. Vikara is all the maladies. Okay. All whatever is bad, would those be, and we can understand. Nama Rupa also. He is asking us not to leave a legacy behind. People need not remember you. People don't have to remember your name. People don't have to remember your features. Nama Rupa Vikara Niguni Parazata. Okay. That they disappear. So death has to be how? Death has to be such that we do not leave behind memories, but we are completely dissolved. Okay, difficult. Anyway, for achieving this state, take it to the next, go to 36. देवद्वारी मानभावा. मानभावा म्हणजे we should receive appreciation. From whom? Not from people. Devadvari Manavava. Let him recognize what you are doing. देवद्वारी मानवावा, देवा पुढेची पदर पसरावा, तयाचाच प्रसाद जोडावा, मान सोडावा लौकिकी. म्हणजे this outward thirst that people should say I am a good man must disappear. Whatever you want to achieve is not for recognition by people around you, but by him, by your Sadguru. When this happens, only then that real satisfaction, the real knowledge will come. Then there is the description of, there is a beautiful another line. 41. सत्संग केल्याची खूण. काय खूण? सत्संग केल्याची खूण काय? We have participated in satsang. What should happen? Vrittisi pahije samadhana. After doing satsang, we must look contented. We must feel contented. Okay? If we continue to be full of desires, then that is not really satsang. Okay? Then we have the process of Ram Navami. Okay? What is the important thing? गावी जो एक कुलकर्णी होता, कुत्सितपणे उलटा जाता, आला मोडता कार्यात, कुलकर्णी जो आडवा पडला, पहा कैसा परिणाम झाला, यात्रा भरू नये शिर्डीला, हुकुम झाला जिल्ह्याचा. Obstacles have come. The project is to have Ramnavami Utsav. However, there are people in power who will resist. People in power who will create objections. But what happens? परी ही यात्रा भरावी शिर्डीत, बाबांचे ही हेची मनोगत, आज्ञापूर्ण आशीर्वादयुक्त होती तदर्थ झालेली. What did the villagers do? The villagers persisted. ग्रामस्थांनी पिच्छा पुरविला, जीवापाड यत्न केला. Then अधिकाऱ्यांनी हुकम फिरविला, मान राखिला सकळांचा. So do not abandon your effort. Continue with the efforts. You will reach success. So Ramnavami Utsav, or for that matter any Utsav, anything that you are doing by taking his name for him, what happens? You will achieve success, no matter if there are obstacles.
Like first line.
Also, whatever we do, our Sadguru does not ask us to do anything illegally. Follow the permissions, follow the protocol, follow the law of the land, and yet you will complete, you will achieve your desired results. Okay. Then the story goes on about how Baba gets angry, why Baba gets angry. Our mind asks the question, should Baba get angry? Okay, we see his anger, but his anger is almost instantaneously followed by appreciation. He is angry with Tatya, but within a few minutes, he actually praises Tatya. He actually puts a garland around him. Okay, so the question: why should saints get angry? Should saints get angry at all? Which mother doesn't get angry with the child? All mothers get angry. If a child keeps on insisting that she should have the first chocolate, second chocolate, third chocolate, fifth chocolate, 10th chocolate, mother has to get angry. Okay? We find Baba getting angry even while constructing that whatever repairs. Yeah? He pulls back, pulls down the construction. Right? Now we don't know why he did what he did. Maybe the construction was faulty. We don't know. Yeah? But did the devotees therefore abandon the exercise? They persisted. So the task that you want to complete, completed. When it was completed, Baba appreciated everything. Okay. रुपया एक बाहेर काढिला तोही तेथेची निक्षेपिला जाणो तो केला सुमुहूर्त. ओके. कोपास चढले किं निमित्त क्षणात पाहता प्रसन्न चित्त यातील कारण यत्किंचित कोणासही विदित होईना. 145. Why Baba would get angry and why he would suddenly be very happy and ecstatic, nobody knew the reason. कोणासही विदित होईना. Now we go back to the first chapter. In the English chapter, there is a line, the causal. Yeah, we don't know the cause and the effect. And we should not even try to find. This is not a book of logic. The logic of these stories is beyond us. But we find that in the long run, whatever Baba did was beneficial. Though in the short run it appeared sometimes that it did not make any sense. Just as we saw in the first story, that after Baba forced the ladies to distribute the flour, cholera vanished. Is there a cause and effect relationship? We don't know. But the fact of the matter is that cholera was no longer there. Correct? The same way, many stories in this book, when at that point when Baba actually administered in somebody's eyes that kernel, cashew kernel juice, at that point somebody would have been horrified, no? To see Baba actually put the cashew nut juice in somebody's eyes. But the fact of the matter is that the next day, when water was put on the eyes, the eye became, the reddishness of the eye disappeared. Okay? So like this, there are many stories in this book which, when we read for the first time, appear not to make any sense. It is not for us to challenge what the Sadguru asks us to do and why he asks us to do. It is for us only to comply. What is expected from us? Only compliance. Nothing else. If you want to ask a logic to a person, don't ask. Don't go. There are many people who go to the teacher, to the Sadguru. Shall I go to Australia? For example, shall I take this job? Shall I change the job? So he says, no, don't change. But you change. Because you want to change the job. You only want to get a confirmation from him. But finally you do what you want to do. It is better not to ask. If you are not going to follow, don't ask. But if you ask, follow whatever he says. Otherwise you will come to grief. Okay? Time and time again, those people who have tried to follow their own minds rather than take the advice of the Sadguru, we are going to come and see the stories. How people were told to stay back in Shirdi, but they decided to no. They decided to leave and they met with accident. When they were asked to go, we find Kaka Sahib Mahajani went. Having come, when Baba asked him, so how long, how many days? He said, whenever you tell me, you go just now. He found his owner was actually waiting for him. So, essence of the story is, first of all projects will be completed, provided we don't think we are doing it, we are the captain of the boat, if we accept that the captain of the boat is someone else. Sadguru Jeti Karanadharu. He is the captain of our vessel. That feeling we must get. We must try hard, we must persist, we must comply. But the moment we feel I am doing it, that is the beginning of the downfall. So that is a trap we should not fall in. Unfortunately, what happens after coming to any Sadguru, over a period of time we start feeling first confident, second blessed, and third arrogant. We start thinking that we are also capable, no? We have also got Siddhi. I am also somebody. This is the beginning of the downfall. This is the trap to be avoided. Because in the process of bhakti, to get a siddhi is very natural. By siddhi is meant powers. See, some people start getting hints about the future. Okay? Some people start seeing in their dreams what's going to happen tomorrow. Some people start understanding what is going through someone else's mind. Mind reading, for example. Predicting the future. Yeah, these are all siddhis. You know, there is also something called Prapti Siddhi. Prapti Siddhi is those people who produce ash, people who produce a golden ring or golden bangle. Yeah, these are all Prapti, these are Siddhis. And it is not unnatural, not uncommon, this can be achieved. That is the trap. We should not stop there. We should not stop our bhakti there. The bhakti should continue. It's incidental. Okay? But if I start thinking, oh, the moment I sit down and start doing my bhakti, I start feeling like getting a nice smell. I start listening to some nice music. Therefore, I'm somebody. No. Yeah. Okay, these are some pleasant sensations that we receive, pleasant messages that we receive. Yes. Don't stop there. If you stop there, then your progress on the road to bhakti will stop. Why? Remember, the passage of bhakti is a thorny road. Bhakti, Babulavanichi Vata. Bhakti is not simple. Bhakti is not at all for the easygoing person. See, even today I think that Nanesh हे चाललंय ना काय म्हणतात ते दिंडी पालखी. Just imagine how difficult it must be, no? Many of them actually walk bare feet. They dance. They will get and eat whatever they can get and eat on the road. And they will do it over how many days? X number of days. I don't know how many days they go through. So this is not something that is very simple. This is not sitting in an air-conditioned car and going. Bhakti is difficult. But it is an enjoyable process and it is the only road that takes you to God. But you must feel the urge to do that. Okay? If you feel the urge to do that, that is the only way to become desireless. And unless you become desireless, we are going to come to chapter 11, where he talks about how to become desireless. Yeah. So, to become desireless, there seems to be, from what the saints are saying, seems to be no solution but to necessarily take God's name without wanting something in return. ज्याला आपण निष्काम भक्ती say निष्काम bhakti. Yeah. All along in our life, when we come to Sadguru, our history is full of Sakam Bhakti. Sakam Bhakti is bhakti done with a desire to get something. We have to convert Sakam Bhakti gradually into Nishkam Bhakti without any expectation. Okay? So this is where we stopped the discussion on the 6th chapter. But if there is anybody who wants to comment, talk, discuss, inject, interject, whatever, yeah, we will switch off the audio and we would like to listen to whatever people are saying.
फक्त आम्हीच आज दुसरा कुटुंब जॉईन नाही झाला.
Audio, video off. Audio on. So Vaibhav, you tell us whether we should switch off the video or start the audio, whatever we want to do.
नाही नाही काही करू नका, जसं चालू आहे तसंच राहून दे.
बरं,
प्रॉब्लेम नाही, कारण नाही. आणि आज फक्त काय फक्त अबुधाबी केंद्र जॉईन झालंय.
ओके.
आम्ही करतोय नोटिंग, म्हणजे कुडव आहेत आणि त्यांच्या फॅमिली, कारण सेंटर मधनं लॉग इन केलंय आणि बाकी जण रिमोटली लॉग इन झाले. तर नेक्स्ट टाइमला आपण विचारू, जे जेन्युइनली जॉईन होणार आहेत ना त्यांनाच कॉल लागेल, मग इंटरॅक्टिव्ह अजून होऊन जाईल. हरिओम.
हा, तुम्ही सांगाल तेव्हा शांतीपाठ घ्यायचा आपण. तुम्ही शांतीपाठ करून टाका तिकडनं.
हा चालेल, मग शांतीपाठ आपण करूया. चालेल.
ओम सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सवीर्यं कर्वावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै. ओम शांति शांति शांति. अनसूयो त्रिसंभूतो दत्तात्रेयो दिगंबरा स्मर्तुगामी स्वभक्तानां उद्धर्ता भवसंकटात्. हरिओम.
हरिओम.
ओके, हरिओम अंबदने.
हरिओम अंबदने.